Hi, I thought I would do some more reading tonight on Chapter 3 of Walk in the Light series, Restoration. 3 seems to be a little bit longer chapter. And again, I stutter and stammer and I do not pronounce things well. And I am slow. But it's getting more interesting. And you'll see why. The beginning part of Chapter 3, they talked about the Tower of Babel. And how Yahweh had come down to confuse the language of the people and had them scattered. And it touched upon Nimrod, and it goes into more detail about Nimrod. So this is where we're going to carry on. Determining fact from fiction is not always possible, but one thing is clear. At some point, Nimrod became opposed to Yahweh. Until Nimrod, mankind was governed by the patriarchal system where the heads of the family heard from Elohim and guided their individual tribes. Nimrod, more accurately, a mighty hunter against Yahweh, usurped patriarchal rule and crowned himself the first human king in all of history. Now man ruled instead of Elohim. Common tradition indicates that Nimrod became a god-man to the people, and Semiramis, his mother and later his wife, became the queen of ancient Babylon. Nimrod was later killed, and his body was apparently cut into pieces and sent to various parts of his kingdom to demonstrate that he was a man and that he was dead. This was supposed to put an end to his being worshipped as a god. But here is where it gets interesting. Semiramis allegedly had all of Nimrod's body parts gathered except for one part, and that could not be found, his phallus, an image or representation of a penis. Cut that part out. Semiramis claimed that Nimrod could not come back to life without it and told the people of Babylon that Nimrod had ascended to the sun and was now to be called Baal, the sun god. Baal actually means Lord in the Semitic language. She was creating a mystery religion and claiming she was miraculously conceived, established herself as goddess. She became known as Ishtar, or Easter, and claimed that she came down from the moon in a giant moon egg that fell into the Euphrates River, the time of the first full moon after the spring equinox. Ishtar soon became pregnant and claimed that it was the rays of the sun god Baal that caused her to conceive. Who, I mean, it's mind-boggling to me. And this is in history. I mean, this is true. The son that she brought forth was named Tammuz, who was believed to be the son of Baal, thus the first pagan trinity. Tammuz, like his supposed father, became a hunter. When Tammuz was 40, he was killed during a freak accident by a wild pig. Ishtar proclaimed that Tammuz was now ascended to his father, Baal, and that the two of them would be with the worshippers in the sacred candle, or lamp flame as Father, Son, and Spirit. Ishtar, who was now worshipped as the Mother of God and Queen of Heaven, continued to build her mystery religion. She also proclaimed a 40-day period of sorrow each year to the anniversary of the death of Tammuz. It was called Weeping for Tammuz, and it lasted for 40 days, 1 day for each year that Tammuz was alive. The concept was deprived from oneself of an earthly pleasure, and during this time no meat was to be eaten. Worshippers were to meditate upon the sacred mysteries of Baal and Tammuz, and to make the sign of Tammuz in front of their hearts as they worshipped. This is where the act of making the sign of the cross originated, as well as Lent, which is simply a modified version of weeping for Tammuz. Worshippers also ate sacred cakes with the marking of the cross on top. This is the origin of the wafer marked with Tammuz, which some Catholics still use during their Eucharist services. Every year, on the first Sunday after the first full moon after the spring equinox, a celebration was made. The celebration was known as Ishtar, Easter Sunday, and was celebrated with rabbits and eggs. Ishtar also proclaimed that because Tammuz was killed by a pig, that a pig ham must be eaten on that Sunday. Historically, the priest of Easter would impregnate virgins on the altar of Easter during their Easter sunrise service to celebrate the rebirth of the sun. The following year, the 3-month-old infants would then be sacrificed, and eggs, the ancient symbol of fertility, would be dipped in the blood of the slaughtered infants. This is the origin of the modern Easter celebration. It is a pagan fertility rite which the Christian religion adopted to replace the scriptural feast of Passover. Christianity rejected the scriptural feast, claiming it was only for Jews, and instead adopted a pagan celebration into their religion. Sadly, many people who read the Bible get confused on this issue because it appears that the early disciples of the Messiah celebrated Easter, or that Passover was somehow replaced by Easter celebration. This confusion traces back to an enormous translation of Acts 12:4, found in the King James Version of the Bible, which reads as follows: "And when he had apprehended him, he put him in prison and delivered him to 4 quaternions of soldiers to keep him, intending after Easter to bring him forth to the people." For many who grew up in the Christian religion, the problem might not be so evident because Easter is an accepted celebration and their English Bibles appear to support the celebration of Easter. It is important to remember that this celebration predates Christianity by centuries, even thousands of years. When we look at the Greek translation of the text, the problem becomes evident. You will not find the word Easter in the accepted manuscripts, but rather the Greek word Pascha, the word Peshach in Hebrew, and Passover in English. Passover is not the same celebration as Easter. So whoever translated this text from Greek to English changed the meaning of the passage by inserting a different word with a very different origin and meaning. As part of the restoration process, it is important that we carefully examine our scriptures and clean up any poor translations which may foster or support bad doctrines, such as Christian participation in the Easter celebration. Easter has nothing to do with Passover except that they happen to occur at a similar time each year. Easter was the Greek mother goddess of the Saxon people in northern Europe, and that the Tunaka drawn goddess of fertility. Her name was derived from the ancient word for spring, Esther. Similar goddesses were known by other names in ancient cultures around the Mediterranean and were celebrated in the springtime, such as Aphrodite in ancient Cyprus, Ashtoreth and Astride in ancient Canaan, Astride in ancient Greece, Demeter in Mycerian, Hathor in ancient Egypt, Ishtar from Assyria, Babylon, Kali from India, and Astera, the Norse fertility goddess. All of these fertility goddesses myths track back to Baal, and they are all pagan. And that ends chapter 3. And it's just really interesting. I mean, I could go on about pagan holidays. So, again, when you're studying scriptures, you really need to try and go back to the original language the best you can. The scriptures were written in Hebrew, and then they were translated in Greek. Hold on, there was something before Greek, and I don't have it off the top of my head. I have to look. But it's just interesting how people just intertwine things into our, I don't want to say religious beliefs. I'm not a religious person. And I mean, I'm reading this, and some people may think I'm religious. I am a person of faith, and I believe in Yahweh. I believe in creation. And I believe that He sent His Son to die for our sins. But I'm not religious. And people get mixed up with religion, faith, because a lot of people just get really, like Catholics, Lutherans are really kind of close in the Catholic realm, and everybody gets really caught up in the traditions, the way they worship, and what they're taught, and everybody else is wrong. And I've been to probably almost every church. I mean, the basics. I was baptized Lutheran. Actually, I was older. My uncle, that's a whole nother story. But anyway, so I've been to a Catholic church. I didn't participate, or I didn't attend as a member or anything. I had just gone for different reasons to other people. And I've been to an Assemblies of God church called the AG Church. I have been to Baptist, Pentecostal, Presbyterian, non-denominationals, and they have, like, I think there's 3 different Lutherans. I know there's like a German Lutheran, an English Lutheran, and there's something else in the Wesleyan Church. I mean, there are so many churches, and a lot of them, it's just interesting because it's like people get so caught up in what is going on in the church and with the people more so than they do living the actual word and the truth of the scriptures. And a lot of people would get mad at me for saying that, but I see it. I see a lot, and there's so much more, and I'm not going to go into it right now. I'm got to really edit the daylights out of this. And I try not to make them too long, but like I said, once I edit it, it will be much shorter. So anyway, after that, we are going to start chapter 4 on paganism, and it even gets more interesting. So, yes, a lot to learn, a lot to digest, and I will talk to you guys later, and let me know if you have any questions or you have any comments or remarks. Just be civil about it, and I will talk to you later. I'm cold. I think I'm sick because I never get cold. I'm always hot. I'm always sweating, and I know this is off the beaten track, but I mean, my hands are like ice. So I am going to turn in and go to bed and try to warm up. Y'all have a good night. Bye.